Hey you, welcome to my cargo bike channel. I've had my Urban Arrow for about 60 days and have ridden it 516 miles. So I want to do a video kind of talking about how things are going. So here's my list of 7 things that I love about my new cargo bike life. Number 1, literally every single ride, somebody has made a comment or asked a question about my bicycle. Like literally every single ride. People ask if I made the bike, to which I'm flattered, but no. People have called the bike cute, to which I say, this thing's a monster. What are you talking about? The very first time I took the kids out, I pulled over to the side of the road to make some adjustments, and the mailman actually stopped in the middle of the street to tell me how much he liked the bicycle and wished he'd had one when his kids were little. You get a lot of comments like that, and so many people just smiling and waving at my kids. It's like constant positive reinforcement that I made the right decision in purchasing this bike. Number 2, I recently learned the term incidental activity, which means something like unplanned, unstructured physical activity that kind of accumulates throughout the day. As you would expect, my incidental activity has gone way up since purchasing and using this cargo bike. Before I had kids, I was pretty good about staying in shape, mostly through running and bicycling. But ever since my daughter was born, almost 4 years ago now, that has not been the case. Just no time. Before I started looking into these cargo bikes at the end of last year, I had only been on my bicycle a total of 2 times since she was born. And there are 100 other things I would rather do than another workout video on YouTube. I don't care what kind of motivational tricks you have up your sleeve. Like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to exercise. I'm just not. And I've accepted that. So my solution to getting around this is to work physical activity into my everyday activities. And commuting by bicycle has been revolutionary in this regard. Even though the bike has a motor on it, you can have as much or as little assistance as you want. And I try to run it in the lower assistance levels so that I'm doing a little bit more work. Whereas I used to stress every week about not getting enough exercise, not being physically active, now every week my Fitbit is like, girl, you're killing it. Keep up the good work. I feel like I'm finally doing something that's like good for me. Number 3 is probably a result of number 2, but I have less back pain now than I did before I started commuting by bike. My joints get really stiff if I'm just sitting, not moving around, whether it's in a car or hunched over playing with my kids. And it dawned on me a couple weeks ago that that pain's mostly gone. I still play hunched over with my kids, but with the increased activity, my back feels a lot better. I'm not saying it'll help everyone's back, but it certainly has helped mine. Number 4 is that I can actually get to more of the trails around my house that I wasn't able to get to with the kids by walking or driving in the past. For suburbia, my city has some pretty nice trails that wind through the different neighborhoods and various parks in the area. The main section is probably about 30 miles long, so there's plenty to explore. I really had not taken my kids to these trails at all because it's too far to walk from my house, and if we ended up driving to one of the parks that had access to the trails, we would just end up playing at the park and not bother with the trail. So this bike has opened up a fun new area for us. I basically ride the bike along the trail until we get to a secluded area and then let them out and they can do whatever they want to do. Run down the path, throw sticks off a bridge, pick clover. I don't have to worry about them running into the road or a parking lot and getting hit by a car. It's great. Number 5 is I'm not the only one who likes this bike. My kids really like it too. I'm not going to say it's solved all of our problems with loading the kids up and taking them somewhere. It's introduced some new problems in certain cases, but I think all in all, it has made it easier, especially with my 3-year-old daughter who has basically hated riding in a car since she was like 6 months old. Now she gets to sit right next to her brother, who she adores, and they jabber away, pointing at whatever they see along the route. It's adorable and much better than the crying I had become accustomed to in the car. My son, who is almost 2, does like the bike, but he is actually going through a truck and car phase right now, so he is obsessed with any vehicle that he sees. I'd love to throw him a bicycle themed birthday party here in a month, but it will probably be cars and trucks. What do you do? Number 6 is I am so glad I got a bicycle with only 2 wheels and not 3. This was a big debate when I was trying to decide which cargo bike to buy initially. We've had a lot of storms this spring, so that means like a lot of trees and debris in the trail, and then a lot of heavy machinery coming in to then clean up all of this debris, which equates to a decent amount of off-roading with my Urban Arrow. And it's done just fine. I've lost track of how many times I've thought, whew, I'm glad I only had to find one path through that mess instead of maneuvering 3 different wheels through it. And number 7, I'm outside so much more now. Even if it's just the 15-minute ride to my daughter's preschool, it's a great way to start the day. It's interesting, it's exciting, it gets your mind moving, unlike the monotony of driving a car. And maybe you arrive home soaking wet because your phone said it was only an 18% chance of rain and you didn't grab your jacket, but it's only water. I find I really notice if I don't take the bike out for a whole day. I'll actively make plans to take it out the next day because it just feels good to be riding. So those are my 7 reasons why I'm loving my new cargo bike. I also did a video on what I'm not so crazy about with my new bike. I'll link to that below in the description. I'm loving the comments from you guys, so keep them coming. And let me know what your favorite part of bike commuting is in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching.